My unmatched perspicacity coupled with sheer indefatigability makes me a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor. And what that basically means is unmatched perspicacity, my ability to perceive things at an unmatched level, coupled with sheer indefatigability, my ability to never become tired. So I can perceive and I never become tired, makes me a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor. And people have asked me where that came from, and that's actually a quote of my father's. The story goes as following. My dad was a chess player, but not only was he amazingly good at chess, imagine him more as he was a chess hustler. If he had no money and he needed money, he'd walk into a chess club and he'd say, 20 bucks, you get 10 minutes on the clock, I get 1 minute, I'll lick any one of you. Literally, just start betting money. And he'd just walk in there and start schooling people, licking them, walk in there, 20 bucks, leave for 300. Other grandmasters, everything. The way he played was so aggressive, even if on a longer form game you could hold out and beat him, because it was so aggressive and it came so fast. In these blitz games he played for money, he just steamrolled people. People couldn't calculate quick enough. Because my dad was suicidal, sacrificed his queen and shit. That was fucking crazy. The Mike Tyson of chess, forward, forward, forward. So the story was, we had been in Detroit. I was really young. I was about 7. He'd finished a tournament, he had some money, and it was about 3 o'clock in the morning and we went to a gas station. And at the gas station, I had walked to the back to start looking at crisps and stuff, and I heard the bell of the door ring, and some Mexicans walked in, and my dad was at the counter purchasing something. I have no idea what happened for the fight to start, because the bell rang on the door, and about 4 seconds later, everyone was fighting. I don't know if they pulled a gun on him, I don't know what happened, but when I came, I looked around from the counter, and my dad had one guy, both of his hands on his neck, and his shoulders up to try and protect his head, and the other 3 Mexican guys were just punching my dad in the head, punching my dad in the head. The Korean guy behind the counter was screaming, "Stop, I call police, I call police, I call police." And as a kid, I was like, fuck. I'd never really seen that kind of violence before, also as a kid, so I was absolutely ineffective. But I started instinctually just walking over towards it. Thinking about it now, maybe I was a little warrior then as well. And my dad, as he had this guy and was being hit, must have seen me out the corner of his eye, and I remember him screaming. I remember his voice. I'll try and imitate it. It was, "Stay back!" So I was like, fuck. So I just stood there and watched this fight go down. The guys were hitting my father. My dad ended up with his teeth in the guy's face. The guy he grabbed, he sunk his teeth into his face, and they were hitting him and hitting him and hitting him. Eventually, one of them got a ball and hit my dad on the head, and his knees went. He didn't fall. His head started to bleed. He let go, and he kind of turned, and all 4 of them were facing one way, and they ran out the store. The whole event was 6 seconds, 7 seconds. It happened extremely quickly. It hit him with a glass bottle, and the back of his head was bleeding really, really bad. So we stood there, we were waiting for the police. My dad now took his shirt off. My dad was a big guy. Bit of a belly, but like a big guy. And put it on his head, and was holding the blood in. And I didn't say a word, and he didn't say a word. The police officers came, started asking my dad and the guy behind the counter questions. The police officers came with the guns drawn. The guy behind the counter goes, "No, it's not him, it's the other guys, da-da-da." So the Korean guy vouched for my father. So they started asking him questions. "What's your name?" I said, "Every Tate." "Tell us what happened, Emery." I said, "I'll stay at the counter, etc., etc., etc." Start telling the story. Now I remember my dad's face was badly bruised, really badly fucked up. His head's all bleeding. And the guy behind the counter just told the police the story of how he fought 4 men on his own. There's also a whole bunch of blood on the floor from the guy's face, because my dad took a chunk out of his face with his teeth. And the police officer goes, "So what's your job?" And I said, "I'm a chess player." He was a chess player? "You just fought 4 guys, maybe you should have been something else." My dad's reply was, "My unmatched perspicacity coupled with sheer indefatigability makes me a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor." The police officer stood there with his pad and just asked the next question. I know for a fact he didn't write that down. And even though I was so young, I remembered that sentence from the day he said it. I believe that to be the baddest motherfucking sentence on the face of the planet. What dude, besides my dad, fights 4 dudes and it comes out with that sentence after his head's been rocked? There's no one else on earth who comes out with sentences or speaks that proficiently. The way my father spoke English was a different level. I don't care how well you know English, if you spoke to my dad, you end up using a dictionary. Like, what the fuck, what? That's just how he spoke. He was a linguist, he spoke 5, 6 languages, and he knew English. He had a grasp of English like no other person on the planet I've ever known. He knew words I've never heard of. He was insane. He almost spoke a different version of English. English has so many words that no one uses. And that sentence is especially badass.